you on this journey with me. And today I'm going to be making a sunflower seed pate. And I've got some ingredients. I'm going to show you the basic one. This can go on crackers beautifully. It can go on romaine lettuce, like, boats, lettuce boats, or lettuce tacos. You can do a scoop of it on your salad. So I'm going to make up a batch. And the other day I talked about getting everything in order. Like on Monday, I believe it was, I made these nut burgers. If you didn't check out that replay, be sure to, because I made them in the dehydrator, but they had walnuts and pecans and sunflower seeds. I had soaked the seeds and nuts overnight. And then I blended in grated carrots and seasoning, made them into patty forms, and then dehydrated them. And then used, because of the way I'm just eating right now, but you could put it in between a bun, and then used my lettuce as my bun. And I made this homemade scratch mustard, which is so delicious. And I'm going to have that on my lettuce. And then I'm going to put the tuna pate on top of that. But I made a ketchup also. So my point was, when you're doing anything, if you're going to change any way that you're eating, if you want to lose some weight in the beginning of the year, that's a lot of, I think, a top goal that people set themselves up for. But the intention needs to be set up the whole environment so you can succeed. So that's what we're doing. So let's get into this. I am using my food processor. I did soak these sunflower seeds overnight. So while I'm eating like this, I'm doing a lot more soaking. Tomorrow I'm doing kale chips. So the dehydrator will, I have a 9 shelf dehydrator and it works for me. In the cafe, I've worked in 2 raw vegan restaurants. So we either had like 20 dehydrators going, no ovens, no hoods. They were straight raw vegan restaurants. Or we had even floor to ceiling type dehydrators, industrial type dehydrators, because we were putting out so much. And we had a storefront and like just grab and go area. Then we had the fine dining restaurant. So we just did so much, and so much was based on technique and getting things textured. And so that's what we use the dehydrator for. I'm not dehydrating everything like I'm going to with, say, fruit or my kale chips, where they're going to be crunchy and all the moisture has been pulled out. Some things I just want to get to a certain level, like the creamy curried cauliflower soup I made last night. Some of the chopped up the small dice cauliflower and put a little bit of oil on it and seasoned it with the curry and a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and then put that in the dehydrator just to get more texture out of it so it didn't taste raw. I put that in my soup bowl. Then I poured the creamy curried cauliflower soup on top, and then used garnish. But you can look at that also. So there is a lot of technique to making raw vegan food, and it's much more than just salads, and it's really good. So let's go. I have a cup and a half of soaked sunflower seeds. So when you soak your nuts or your seeds, they are going to swell. So it's easier on our digestive system to eat them. And we remove the phytic acid on the nuts. So you're going to drain, rinse, and then sometimes I'll take those raw nuts, depending on what I'm making, I'll put them back in the dehydrator. But for the patty and for this, I don't need to do that. So I just soak these overnight and then drained and then rinsed them. So I'm going to put the sunflower seeds in. And when you have a cup of, say, dried nuts, getting to my point, and you soak them overnight, you may wake up with a cup and a half to 2 cups. So be mindful of the recipe, what it's actually calling for. If it says 1 cup soaked nuts, or does it say 1 cup dried nuts, soak them? If it says 1 cup dry nuts, soak them, then you're going to use the whole thing, right? If it says 1 cup soaked nuts, if you soak a cup of dried nuts and then you get a cup and a half or 2 cup yield, you're only going to use 1 cup of those soaked nuts. based on what the recipe is calling for. So we've got to read how it's written. And sometimes you just, I know I've bypassed it before and then went back and went, why do I have so much? But that was usually the case. So I'm going to put my sunflower seeds. You could also do this with a pumpkin seed. I just find for making, especially I'm going to take it to like a tuna. I spell that Toona, but because I put sea vegetables in it, kelp and dulse, it really has tricked or made some people, I'm not trying to trick anybody with food, but it sure has made some people think it's like real tuna. And the sunflower seeds are just a little bit more neutral. Pumpkin seeds have a more pungent flavor to me. So that's why I choose the sunflower seeds versus the pumpkin seeds. Okay, we are going to, I've got a half cup of lemon juice, but I'm going to just put 3 tablespoons first because I want to try it. I have done this recipe many times, but lemons taste different throughout the year, the yield, the flavor. So I want to make sure I just don't put everything. I don't cook that way. I'm always tinkering to see what we're getting. I am using about an inch of grated fresh ginger. And I really call for fresh ginger in this recipe versus ground ginger, which I used in the spiced sweet potato cake, because it's really going to taste, the dried ginger has more of a flat, earthy um, flavor. And this, I want the live ginger because it's just going to bring more of that ginger flavor to life. It just tastes fresher. So if you don't have fresh ginger, try to get it. It's at any store and it's not expensive and works well. I'm going to put a little bit of dried parsley. You could actually put fresh parsley, which is okay. And then the magic to making this like a tuna, like a tuna of the sea, right? But I'm spelling it Toona, so no one comes for me. I'm using ground kelp and dulse. So both of these, are sea vegetables, so they come in the sheet. But I like to get them ground because I add a lot of this to my salads and a lot of my foods. I think we need to ingest more sea vegetables. We're most often familiar with nori because of sushi, but I have nori sheets, I have nori ground. But for this, I'm just using a half teaspoon of each. So a half teaspoon of the kelp and a half teaspoon of the dulse. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in. I've got my sea salt, but because the dulse and the kelp already are rich in iodine and are saltier, I'm only going to add about half a teaspoon, and then I can always add more. I can, to taste, season it up. It's a lot harder just to take anything out. I've got scallions I'm going to add and celery that I'm going to add because I've really made this like I remember how my mom made my tuna sandwiches when I was a kid. So that is my inspiration that I'm going for. As I always state, I'm going to pulse. It's going to make some noise. I'm not going to speak over it. So if you'd like to mute it this time, let's do that. Okay. And I am pulsing because I do want it to go down quite a bit, but there's just a look like tuna that I'm working to achieve, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there, but I want to not just turn it on. I could make this like almost like a pate, a real, creamed more pate, but I want to keep a little texture in this, but you could take it further if you like. It makes a nice spread, like I said, on crackers, on bread, on a crudité. It's wonderful for all of those things. Sunflower seeds are really good. as far as their nutrient density, low fat, high protein, but they're also good for our kidneys as far as just nourishing the kidneys. When you get into a little bit more food as medicine, which I've studied in both my culinary schools, so pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. So food, yes, is sustaining us and giving us the nutrients that we think of, vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. But in traditional Chinese medicine and even Ayurveda, food can have different impact on our organs. But I'll leave that there. I'm going to pulse again. You can see how it's beginning to look like tuna. You can get that light, right? And then what I'm going to add, once I get it to that point that I want, I'm going to add tahini. So tahini is sesame seeds. It's just like peanuts and peanut butter. So we've ground it down into a butter. So I'm going to add that. I just want to get this down a bit so I don't have to pulse it so much once I put the tahini in. This recipe will hold about a week in your refrigerator. Just store it in a glass container. That's looking good. And the reason why I'm pulsing it to where I want before I put the tahini in, the tahini is going to start pulling things together, so there'll be less of pulsing those seeds. It will kind of, you'll have fuller seeds, which is okay. You're going to have some of it, but I do want to pulse as much as I can to that texture I want to get. I think we are there. Tahini has a pretty neutral, if you imagine sesame seeds. I love sesame seeds. They're very rich in calcium and, of course, fiber, and another seed that provides protein. But you usually be most familiar with tahini and hummus, unless you just eat a lot of different foods that add tahini to recipes. So if you said, oh, I've never had tahini, I don't think I've ever had tahini. If you've had hummus, classic hummus, you've definitely had tahini. So you can kind of figure what that taste is, and you probably didn't even notice it once it gets flavored in all the other things, like a good classic hummus or a roasted pepper hummus. Tahini is that base. So we're going to do this now. Now I'm going for what I know. Now I just want to combine it so the tahini is all incorporated. I'll then put it in the bowl, and then we're going to add the scallions and the celery folded in. We're not going to blend it up in here. I love when it just does its magic, because once I get the scallions and the celery in, you're going to be hard pressed to say that doesn't look like tuna and taste. Let's see what we've got. I do want to taste this a little, and then I'm going to pulse it just a little bit more. I definitely have enough lemon juice for right now. But there have been times, I'm going to add more salt. There have been times when I've used a whole half cup of lemon juice. So that just lets you know that, especially throughout the year, lemons can taste different, or the yield of the lemon juice, right? Where they were grown, where they came from, how long they've sat. All of those things matter. And again, I just want to make sure that the tahini, I mean, I could blend it still, but it looks like it's all incorporated. To another bowl. And let me just give you a good look at this. Does that not look like the tuna from Tuna of the Sea? So again, it's really good on crackers. You could put it in a half of an avocado, on your salad, as a sandwich, on a crudité platter. So many different ways you can incorporate it. And so now I have, like enough to do different things with it for the rest of the week. I'll put it on a kale salad because I eat a lot of kale salad. I'm going to put it in these lettuce leaves, and you'll see how I'm going to build that up. And because I'm not having anything cooked right now, so I'm not having any bread that would have been baked, but I can make a bread, and I'll probably do a live stream with that of a raw vegan bread. So there's nothing I go without. So look at that. Nice looking tuna, right? We are going to fold in our celery. I used about 2 ribs and just small diced it. And then I used 3 scallions and used the greens too. And then I'm just going to mix this up like you would. So whatever recipe, if you're with me or you watch this, how did your mom or whoever made your tuna sandwiches, how did they make them? Because some people put like sweet relish. My grandmother used to do that, and it was okay, but I would, because I love like dill pickles. If I was gonna do it, I'd want to use a dill relish, right? So you can adjust this recipe. It's gluten free. It is nut free, and it's just really delicious. I'm so excited. Thank you for being here with me. So look at that tuna. Oh my goodness. All right. All right, let's do this. So I've got I said yesterday, I like the baby romaine, or they're called baby gems, and the butter lettuce leaves. I really like the butter lettuce for the nut burgers we did, if you get that. But I just used 2 of these and did the bun and sandwich the burger in. Tonight, I'm going to do more like a boat. So I'm going to get that spread. I really love this mustard that I made. I said on Monday, I'm not a huge myself mayonnaise person. So if you are, we could do a coconut meat mayonnaise. We could do a cashew meat mayonnaise. But mustard is going to be it for me. So I'm just spreading a generous amount of this. I just love this mustard so much. Maybe I'll do a mustard session if you're interested in that. So if you don't like mustard, I would have mustard on my tuna sandwich. So this isn't like out of character for me. I'm just going to spread that. And then this I just keep in a glass container, and it will last quite a while, but I'll also go through it quite a while because I'm not making such a big batch. And then I want to take some of my cucumber. I just did dials. And I'm going to lay that on the base. And get that done on each one. I'm just building this up. And because I'm eating so many high water content vegetables, this tuna's gonna really make it hearty. But you're like, she's eating 4 boats. It's good. It's good. It's a lot of water and fiber. And then the tuna will come in, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and get this going. This would be nice, to make for a lunch or brunch and have everything already ready, or have it laid out and everybody could build their own, which is also nice. I'm using about 2 tablespoons, generous tablespoons here on my boats. You can add whatever you like. I've got the cucumbers going. I'm going to put tomatoes on. I'm going to put a little bit of avocado to give me a little more fat with it, because we only use the tahini as the fat in this. I will, keep this in the refrigerator. And then I'm going to take some of my tomatoes across. And avocado. I just sliced it. And depending on the size of your avocado, you can decide how much avocado. I'm just going to put a slice per boat. I'm going to change this in cut, because if I was serving them, I want them all to look as uniform as possible. And then I grated some carrots. You could grate zucchini. You could grate, I already have the cucumber on, but you could grate cucumber. The thing is, when you're grating fruit or vegetables that are high water content, you would want to drain it or put it on a paper towel so it drains, so you don't have the situation of putting things on that are now sweating and your product or your food gets really wet, right? That's the thing, again, in technique, making sure we squeeze out excess water or put it in the dehydrator. And then I've got one more thing I didn't grab, because I like to keep them in the refrigerator as long as I can. It's been kind of cold, so I've had the heater on. I used on our soup yesterday the radish and the cilantro microgreens. So today I'm just going to do some cilantro, and these are nutrient dense. Your microgreens are. Studies have shown that they have more nutrient density, anywhere from 20 to 40% more than the actual full grown cilantro or the radish, mature, I will call it. And again, this makes a wonderful lunch, brunch, even a snack. I could maybe not eat 4 for a snack, but take a look at those babies. And again, you can add whatever your favorite toppings are for this. I did cucumber, tomato, avocado, and then grated carrots. I could add grated beets, or I could put some pickled, cultured vegetables on to give it a little bit more texture and flavor. I was going to, which I think I'll try, I'm going to take the grated carrots and add a little bit of coconut amino. So you can marinate them like that, or you could pickle these. And I'm going to do that with the cucumber, and I could put these in the dehydrator and just leave them for like an hour to 2 hours and let all that coconut aminos, like a marinade, just be absorbed. And then the texture is going to start changing, so it doesn't feel or taste. It doesn't taste so raw. So again, with raw cooking, raw vegan cooking, there are a lot of different techniques that we incorporate so that it really begins to taste like the food has been cooked when appropriate. Like I do a lasagna and I'll do it in a pan, but I'll put it in my dehydrator So because we start pulling that moisture out, it really starts to take on this more cooked taste, texture, flavor. It's not going to be piping hot like if it came out of the oven, but it's not going to be cold either. So here we are. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll try it. This is our sunflower seed tuna pate, but you know I like to take it further and show you how I'm going to enjoy it. Now that I'm looking at these four, I feel like my eyes are larger than my stomach.